A tournament which began with 5 of the world's 6 top women players has produced a final between a non-seed, here in your picture, well, she was a minute ago, a non-seed who's beaten 3 of the top 5 players this week, and the comeback kid who said earlier this week that there was no way she would reach the final. For those of us who've seen her matches this week, there seems no way Monica Seles can lose this final, but in Amanda Coetzer, she's playing a solid, competitive, very fit player, enjoying a, for her, unprecedented run of form. Seles against Coetzer. A look first at Monica Seles on the right of the picture, and you see there that she has a tremendous height advantage over Amanda Coetzer. Just tossing the coin with Donna Ring. Seles has a 23 centimetre advantage, or 9 inches. And that could be crucial, though Amanda Coetzer has worked extremely hard since the start of the year on her fitness, knowing that she has to work extremely hard for every point. Monica Seles has beaten Kimberly, Nathalie Tauziat, Anke and Gabriela Sabatini. Coetzer has beaten Vanessa Webb, a Canadian qualifier, Steffi Graf, Sabine Appelmans, Mary Pierce and Jana Novotná, and there's that height difference. Not sure how good the photos are going to be being taken now, because the sun is pretty much in the faces of both players. Coetzer having played a game more. The top 8 seeds get a bye in this field, which is an entry of 56 players. Yes, their previous meeting before that was 1991 on hard court in Los Angeles, where again Seles won in straight sets. So let's start with Amanda Coetzer, ranked 27th in the world, unseeded here, age 23, from Hoopstad in South Africa, and now spends a lot of the year in California. 1 meter 57 or 5 foot 2 inches, one of the smallest players on the WTA tour. Her highest world ranking is 12. She started the year at 18, but has slipped down to 27. It's great, isn't it, the way I start talking about one player and then the camera angle switches to another. That's because the pictures aren't coming from Eurosport. We normally use the pictures from the host broadcaster. This is coming from Canadian television. All right, we'll switch to Monica Seles. 21 years old, born in Novi Sad, now lives in Sarasota in Florida, an American citizen since early last year. 1 meter 80 or 5 foot 11 inches. Has no ranking at the moment, this being her first tournament for over 2 years. But she's co-seeded #1 on this special arrangement, which allows her 6 tournaments as joint #1 seed with Steffi Graf, or seeded 1 on her own if Steffi Graf isn't playing. Her 4 wins, all without the drop of a set, and in particular against Huber and Sabatini, she looked absolutely scintillating. Chance to look at her volleys, because she hasn't played many. In fact, I think she's played 1 all week. Back to Amanda Coetzer then. This is the first week she's beaten 2 top 5 players. In fact, she's now beaten 3 top 5 players. She's been working very hard on her fitness this year with her new Australian coach, Gavin Hopper, who has been very conscious of her height. And in fact, he's had to field a number of questions about her height in her press conferences this week. Singles record 23-14. It's win-loss record. 23 wins out of 37. Bit of a mixed year, but then she's just been outside seedings for a number of tournaments. Vanessa Webb, the Canadian qualifier in the first round, and then that remarkable win against Steffi Graf, 8-6 in the tiebreak. And then a 3-set win over Sabine Appelmans. Mary Pierce, who was badly tiring in the 3rd set, and that very, very impressive win over Jana Novotná. Coetzer's consistency really helping her. And if she wins this match, she just stands a chance of getting into the top 15, which she would need to do to be seeded at the US Open, which begins a week tomorrow. If she loses, she will be 20-21. It's difficult exactly to work out the points because, well, the runner-up here gets 182 points. win a 260. There's that interesting caption. Chance to beat 2 #1 ranked players in the same week. Actually, Seles is not ranked #1. She's seeded #1. It's a special dispensation. She's not in the rankings at all. She has no ranking this week, though that is a technicality. But it'll certainly generate some interesting quiz questions in years to come about 2 #1s. Especially if Graf and Seles meet in the final of the US Open. Looking at Amanda's results over the year, not being seeded, just missing out, has meant that she's come up against some fairly good players early on in the Grand Slam tournaments. She got to the 3rd round of the Australian, where she lost to Mary Jo Fernandez in 3 sets. She lost in the 2nd round of the French to Gabriela Sabatini, and in the 2nd round of Wimbledon to Steffi Graf. Her best this year was a semi-final place in Barcelona, where she lost in straight sets to Arantxa Sanchez Vicario. Arantxa, who's the reigning champion here, though she'll lose that. In fact, we're bound to get a new champion. Neither of these players has won the Canadian Open. And this would be a remarkable story if Monica were to win her first comeback tournament, though it may also set alarm bells ringing in the corridors of administration of women's tennis. It's all very well to say how Monica is so good for women's game and women's tennis needs Monica. I'm sure that's true, but I suspect that for her to come back and win this tournament, and who knows, maybe even the US Open, would be, I think, something that would do as much damage to women's tennis, in the sense that it would illustrate that there's perhaps not the depth that the proponents of women's tennis would have us believe, or would like us to believe. I'm a great fan of women's tennis, but it has not got the depth of competition that the men's game has. But it's good to see her back, and it would be very good to see her at least get to the semi-final of the US Open, where she would be seeded to come up against Arantxa Sanchez Vicario, and that would be quite some match. But here we have the final of the Canadian Open, where the forecast is for a maximum temperature of 30 degrees. There's Donna Ring, or Donna Buckley, as she now is, from Australia. Maximum of 30 degrees, though it feels warmer, but no rain forecast at all. Seles to get this 1995 Canadian Open final underway. And I think Coetzer's most important priority is to stay with Seles, not to let her get too far ahead. Easier said than done, of course, and an interesting telltale there is how Monica is grunting. That is a sign that she is totally focused on her tennis. She doesn't like it. I think the rest of us don't either. But it's part of her state of mind. And the thing about Seles is that she hasn't been tested this week in a tight situation. And here is a chance for Amanda Coetzer in the opening game. Break point. Yes, Amanda's going to need all her fitness work. She's going to be running a lot, because you can be sure that Monica is going to move her from side to side. A second chance for Coetzer to strike while Seles is still not fully warmed up. That's too long. And there we see the improved service of Monica Seles. Got that left-handed serve swinging very wide to the Coetzer backhand. Third break point for Amanda Coetzer. Right shot, bad execution. An opening game of 4 deuces finally goes to Monica Seles, having saved 3 break points. I think one of the remarkable things about Monica Seles is that she seems to have no fear of losing. That may sound a slightly odd statement, but she's never been a player who's shirked the big points when it gets tight towards the climax of a match. I think also she said after her match against Sabatini that win or lose she'd have been happy, and I think she is. I mean, I think she just is on a bit of a high at the moment in her first tournament back and doesn't mind what happens here, and that gives her extra strength. Coetzer, love 1, first set. Esther and Carolee Seles. Nice reward there for Coetzer, having made 2 errors. Went for that forehand. Got a lot of power on it and great depth. And forcing the error from Seles. Once again, the power of Seles breaks down Coetzer's resistance, and a point for a 2-love lead. Seles, 2-love, first set. Only just. But she does play with tremendous risk. Occasionally she'll overdo one of those. The papers in Toronto this morning been playing up Coetzer's chances. I think that's in the interest of a good final rather than too much realism. But for a woman who's beaten 3 top 5 players, she's had a remarkably small amount of coverage this week. Good defending by Coetzer, and she got herself into a position to take the initiative and blew it with that forehand. Albeit a difficult one because she was at full stretch. I said a few minutes ago that Seles hasn't been in any tight situations. All the first 3 games have gone to 30 all, but Seles has won them all. This very much has been the Monica Seles show. The normal number of accredited journalists here is between 150 and 170, of which about 75% are Canadian. 307 were accredited, along with around 100 television technicians. And only a few German journalists have departed. That was after Steffi Graf's defeat. The rest have stayed to see this fairly phenomenal comeback. It does seem to be the Monica Seles of old. She's hitting the ball just as hard. She's finding the angles. She's taking it very, very early. Hitting it on the rise, but taking it so early that the ball doesn't rise that far. Nathalie Tauziat said that she didn't quite get balls as wide as she used to. It's also interesting that the players' reaction to Seles' return has been fairly favourable. Been some very kind comments in press conferences. Arantxa Sanchez-Vicario got a little annoyed at the amount of questions she was fielding about Monica, but that's understandable because she's lost out, I think, most. But it's good to see Monica back and leading 3-love in this first set. Coetzer making the error on the 15th stroke. There've been a number of those rallies. The longest we've had is 16. But there've been about 4, at least 4 I can think of, maybe 5. Where about 15, 16, it's Coetzer who makes the error. And a blistering forehand return of serve. And Seles has another 3 break points. With a 3-love, 40-love lead, the crowd are going to get behind Coetzer because they want a match here. Two break points saved, and it'll give Coetzer quite a lift if she can pull this game out of the bag. This is what it's like playing a champion. You get very few second chances. The pressure is great, and therefore the errors come. Seles 4-love, first set. It's difficult to think what Amanda Coetzer can do. I got the feeling in the last game she was trying to get to the net. Look at Monica taking this very early, steps right into it. As the ball is still on the up after the bounce, it's a winner. Coetzer has a good net game. She obviously doesn't have a great reach at 1.57 m, but she's a good doubles player and has good volleys. The problem is getting to the net the way Seles is playing, hitting her ground strokes so well. Yes, from this moment on, there was very little that the South African could do. Good backhand. I wonder if perhaps she should slice one or two of them, just to mix it up, and to have the ball bouncing just a little bit lower. Makes Seles work a bit harder for her power. Nothing she can do about that, though. Another very good serve from Seles. And this remarkable run goes on. 5-love, she leads. Coetzer love 5, first set. And you can see Coetzer's confidence being sapped by these blistering ground strokes from Monica Seles. Well, a serious error from Coetzer, but again, one has to remember the pressure she's under to make something of every half chance. Seles stepping into this one. Coetzer doing well with the squash backhand, and even though Monica was moving back, she was still taking that ball early enough, and that made the difference. That prevented Coetzer from getting to it. 2 set points. 2 presents for Amanda Coetzer. And a third, and her first game point since she had break points in the opening game of the match. Just a little bit of tentativeness going into Coetzer's game. I think she knew she mustn't make the error. It's a shame that Coetzer didn't get this ball back. Nice attempt. He sliced cross-court forehand, just not quite clearing the net. Set point again. Seven 27 minutes on the clock. Monica Seles wins the first set 6-love. And that takes the number of games she's won, if you count her semi-final, without losing one, to 16. She was 1-all against Sabatini, and then won 6-1, 6-love, and has now won the first set 6-love, so that makes 16. 17, actually. Gabriela Sabatini. And I think that's Virginia Wade. Coetzer rightly taking her time. It is a remarkable comeback. 7 games on the run in this final. Because one of the beauties of the tennis scoring system is that even though Amanda Coetzer has lost the first 7 games, it is effectively the same as had she lost the first set 6-4 and Seles held serve in the first game of the second set. Obviously the dynamic of the match is very different because Seles is in storming form and it's difficult to see how Coetzer can possibly get into this match. But all is not lost. Love 1, second set. will give her some heart. Drawing the error from Seles on the 18th stroke of the rally, the longest rally of the match so far. Good to see as well. The first attempt that Coetzer has made to go to the net of her own volition. She's been dragged in once or twice by Seles' drop shots. That will at least get Seles thinking a little bit. Right. Now is the time for Coetzer to open her account. 40 love. Her face remains implacid, but there must be a great sense of relief. One thing you don't want to do is to beat 3 top 5 players, get to a final, first of the year, and then lose love and love. Seles 1-all, second set. First set to 6, considerable difference in first serve, although neither serve, certainly Coetzer's serve, is not strong enough to serve too many winners, so she hasn't lost a great deal on that one, though perhaps she's given Seles 1 or 2 too many second serves to attack. What a wonderful rally. Oh, and it's given out. What a shame. Still a good rally. Great recovery from Coetzer. Wonderful shot from Seles. Now, I suspect that Coetzer should have sliced this one. One-handed slice. Well, it's too early to say that this match is turning or that Seles is tiring, but this is just a glimmer of an opportunity for Amanda Coetzer. She could take Seles' serve now. Oh, what a brilliant pickup. That was not at all a bad return of serve. She was pushed wide, was Coetzer, but she played a very intelligent return of serve. But what a wonderful pickup on the forehand from Seles. Great shot. Forehand with a bit of wrong footing in it. And Coetzer has a break point. Oh yes, that is a useful serve. First ace of the match. What a good time to serve it. Oh, great shot. The match has become a bit more competitive in the last couple of games. But that was a great backhand. What a wonderful backhand. Again, the longest rally of the match, 19 strokes. And, well, I suppose this set is going with serve. Two. Important game this for Coetzer now, because if she can hold serve, then the set will take on a totally different feel than the first. So you've got to put the first set out of her mind. Serving with new balls, 1-2, second set. There's a fair bit of background noise going on. Has been throughout the match. And whether that caused the double or not, I don't know. Amanda will not complain. She has a very good temperament in that respect. But she's facing trouble again. Love 30. And a second serve.
Out.
Well, it was perhaps a close call, but Coetzer got away with a badly frame-struck backhand earlier in that point, which landed about a metre inside the baseline. And she was riding her luck a little bit too much then. 2 points for a 3-1 lead for Seles. Oh, good picker. It was perhaps a defensive shot from Coetzer, but it was actually a good one. Her speed running forward is certainly pretty impressive. I suspect the only thing that's lacking is a bit of stamina. Seles 3-1, second set. The rumble around the crowd is that the sun's gone in for a second. We've actually got one cloud. It's her second volley of the week. Had one against Huber. I suspect Amanda Coetzer's resistance has been pretty much broken. It was a pretty demoralised backhand she's just played.
Oh!
And I think Seles senses it too. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. And by my calculations, Seles has won 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 48, 54, 58 games this week and conceded just 14. And if she can finish this tournament with 2 6-1, 6-love victories, or 6-love, 6-1 as this one would be, that would be pretty impressive stuff. Admittedly, she hasn't played any top 5 players who must count as her real rivals. I think the players that are capable of beating her are Graf, Sanchez, obviously, possibly Martinez on the right surface, and then Pearce and Novotny must come into the frame. But given that she beat Sabatini 6-1, 6-love, and Sabatini's ranked 8th in the world, Huber is ranked 10th, and she beat her 6-3, 6-2, including a run of 8 games. This is a woman who is back, make no mistake, and must be a hot favourite for the US Open. Certainly one of them. Coetzer 1-4, second set. So second double. They've come in the last 2 games. Well, Coetzer was just slightly backing off that shot. I think 1 or 2 people felt it might have been out. I certainly saw it good. 30-all. I was recommending she should play the slice backhand, didn't do much good then. This 10,000 strong crowd trying to get behind Amanda Coetzer. If she can win this game, make it 2-4, wouldn't entirely be over. If she loses this game, it will be as good as Seles serving for the title. Yes. When you see her playing shots like that, it's difficult to believe statements that she makes like, well, I don't really mind whether I win or lose this match. And having said earlier in the week that there was no way she'd reach the final, Monica Seles now serves for the title. There's nothing left to say, is there? I think Carolee rather enjoyed that, as I'm sure he's enjoyed the whole week. And with his cancer in remission, I'm sure this kind of performance by his daughter will keep it that way. 2 points away from the title. Oh, no. She finally got a volley to play. The whole court open. It was too casual, but her spirit has been broken. She's had a great week, and suddenly it becomes a piece of theatre again. A bit like Monica's exhibition match against Martina Navratilova. Match point. Tried the slicing too late, did Coetzer. But a victory for Monica Seles. Unlikely at the start of the week, very likely at the start of the match. And what a remarkable performance. Her father and coach Carolee can take some of the credit. But this is a phenomenal tennis player. She's been absent for 2¼ years from the circuit. She's now back, and boy, do we know it. Monica Seles wins her 33rd career title, her first Canadian Open, and her first since the spring of '93. And this will obviously go some way to putting out of her mind the horrific accident that happened on the 30th of April, 1993. A horrific incident, I should say. It wasn't an accident, of course. Her first tournament since Chicago in February '93. Talking with Tony Woods of the Women's Tennis Association Tour Communications Office. And the loser, but she's had a great week. We hope to hear from both players in just a minute. Here's Amanda Coetzer.
I just would like to say I really, this has been one of my greatest weeks in my whole career, and I've enjoyed every minute of it playing here, and it was a great experience for me to come out today and play against Monica. I'd like to congratulate her on a very courageous comeback. She just played in a tremendous match. I was trying my hardest, but she just didn't allow me to get my feet in this match, and it was just really a great performance. It's very admirable. Next of all, I'd like to thank the Moria Limited, a great sponsor. It's, I think this tournament is one of the most favored for all the players, especially for me, after the Zoot. But it's really a great week, and we always look forward to coming back to this tournament. Also, thank you to Tennis Canada, Jane and John. Thank you very much. It was a great week, and John, all the best for your new career. And just thank you to each individual that made this tournament such a great success, and also all the spectators. I thank you very much for your wonderful support.
Nice speech from Amanda Coetzer. They obviously get a little help on who they should thank. The John she referred to is John Beddington, former tournament director and tournament chairman, and an ex-vice president of Tennis Canada.
The champion of the 95 Moria Limited Open, receiving a check equivalent to 207,000 Canadian dollars and the Moria Limited trophy from Yugoslavia, Monica Seles.
Oh dear. Oh dear. That was a faux pas. From Yugoslavia. Oh well. I think she's too high to worry about it. Born in Novi Sad. She's now in what counts as Serbia. But she's ethnic Hungarian, but now an American citizen, and has lived most of her life in America. I know it's a gesture of support, but the crowd are not exactly helping her.
It's been an amazing week for me. I mean, for such a long time. I wasn't sure if I would be back and playing tennis again. And there's so many emotions here from the first day till the last day. And it's just amazing. I can't believe that this is real. Oh boy. Great time here in Canada. I love Toronto, and the fans from day one, from Saturday, from the special event, have been just amazing. I wish I could take you with me to all the matches, to have all the support. It would be great. And, I'd like to thank a few people that made it possible, I think, for me to be here today. One is my mom and my dad and my whole family. Thank you.
Great moment for them. As you can see, Graf-Seles is very emotional, but I think he's enjoying it.
I would like to thank the other people, Betsy and Mark, for bringing me back to playing tennis again.
Betsy Negelson, Mark McCormack.
Oh, so many people that I'm sure I'm going to forget everybody. I would like to thank the sponsor, the Moria, for being so supportive of women's tennis. It's great. Tennis Canada. I would like to thank Kay and John. It's going to be very weird coming here back without John being here. I think we'll all miss you so much. But
that's John Beddington. who's going back to Great Britain to run a sports management company.
All the players love coming here to this tournament. I think the field this year spoke of it, the depth of it. I would like to congratulate Amanda on a great week. And just all of you for coming out here and supporting us, supporting women's tennis, and just being so supportive of me. And it just feels unbelievable to be back and playing tennis again and being happy and just doing something that I love so much to do and miss so much over the years. And that's all I can ask
for. It's sometimes difficult to believe that the girl or the woman who could be so single-minded on court can be afflicted by such emotions, but then perhaps one shouldn't be surprised.
I understand that Monica has one more small presentation to make.
On behalf of the players and the staff of the WTA, would like to thank you all for, John, what you have done for tennis in Canada over the last 17 years. And I think, speaking on behalf of everybody, we'll miss you. We wish you all the best in the future. But it's just not going to be the same for us coming back here. And it's a quite amazing day, I think, for both of us. We'll miss you. I mean, it's simply sad. We'll miss you so much.
As I said, a former vice president of Tennis Canada, a great servant to tennis in this country. And perhaps Monica re-emphasising there, I was saying a minute or two ago about
Thank you, Monica. Thank you, WTA.
the fact that some players express themselves so well with a tennis racket in their hand. I think Steffi Graf's the same, and when they have to speak, they are perhaps, we see the vulnerable side of them. And clearly it's been a very emotional week for Monica, though we haven't seen it when the ball's been in play, normally steaming off her racket for a winner.
So we're going to clear our workplace. We're going to be back in action in 45 minutes, so you'll have an opportunity for some shade and some refreshment.
Well, as the formalities continue, that completes our coverage of the Du Maurier Canadian Open. We've survived the Canadian heatwave. The women's tour now takes a week's break before the US Open in New York, where there's also a heatwave at present. Mind you, where isn't there a heatwave at present? The next women's tennis on Eurosport is the European Indoors in Zurich, and who knows, maybe Monica Seles will be in the Saalsporthalle there. That's the first week of October. For now, though, this is Chris Bowers thanking you for staying up late for the Monica Seles show from the National Tennis Centre in Toronto. Goodbye.